Good evening. Welcome to the one, the only Hog Talk podcast, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe in Buzz Radio Networks, where you can hear us on 106.7 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me is Adam Hall. We are brought to you by Bet Online. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, football, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting, your favorite casino card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use the promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And before we begin, I want to make a statement about our earlier tweets that I made, earlier posts on Facebook. I didn't delete them because I wanted to, quote tweet, share it, that the information that we were given earlier about the reports on Sam Pittman being let go, whether it be this week or into the season, has since been recanted. Therefore, we recanted our statement, and it quickly learned that, you want to verify, not to be first. We've preached it. I've got caught up in it myself now. You always want to verify and talk to your trusted sources that before you post anything, because then it gets in with the recruits and people that I didn't even think about when we were talking about this issue. And I know there's a lot of chatter about the tenure of Coach Pittman and, his status with the state of Arkansas or the Arkansas University. He might end up being let go at the end of the season. But therefore, I'm not going to say, look, I told you first. Look, it's the same fact that it's not happening today. He's going on with his normal press conferences. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of different people that's told me yes. There's been a lot of people that's told me no. But yet I was the one that chose to run with the post and put it out there. So I do want to sincerely apologize to all people that were misinformed by us, especially to the recruits' families that it's got to them, the recruits, because now it poses questions to them and their kids' future at the University of Arkansas. So more than anything, I want to apologize to the recruits and their families, because I didn't mean for it to get out that way where it could affect their recruitment and their choice to go play at the University of Arkansas. So we'll end with that. But again, we try to do the best we can to give you the latest news and stuff. And when we swing and miss, we have to take accountability and eat the crow and face the music. So that's what we do with that. I'm not going to delete anything to save face for things that I did say. So Adam, he's part of the podcast and co-host, and he's into this as well. But when it's me that posts it, I take full responsibility and try to move on from that and learn from our mistakes on it. But with that, take it away from the game. I mean, it's like you think, Adam, that things are going to turn around in this game, the way they played in Florida, the way everybody was going about after the game, and this happens, and I'm at loss for words. So it's like, I think we know the writings on the wall, but it's like, again, going back to the statement, it's like it hasn't been official, but it's like Adam, it just seems like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I look at yesterday, and if we talked about if it was a close loss or win, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. But the complete abomination of yesterday's game was, disheartening. So it was a complete train wreck. There's no other way around that.
When you look at the first drive, like, does nobody, this is the thing that I want to ask when it comes to the defense. Does nobody know how to arm tackle anymore? Where have we gotten to where we just want to lay a shoulder into these guys? You look, there was countless runs where they got 4, 5, 6 touchdowns after contact because it was leaning shoulders. I don't know where this has gotten lost in the fact of tackling. There's no more tackling hardly. And if it is, it's out of bounds. You Yes, did the guy deserve to get ejected for that? Hell no. That was
Mhm.
that was a hit. And right here, coming in on the comments right here. First drive set the tone 100%.
Mhm.
When you got Thorne running into the end zone, laying a shoulder into the defender, and then looking back at him, that was just like I was saying when it come to the Mississippi State game. If you come out swinging and you have a chance to win the game, you're going to set the tone and you're going to have a chance to win the game. That's exactly what Auburn did. They come out and my cousin was 10 minutes away from the game where we were watching it. By the time he got there, it was already 21-0. It had the Georgia feel all over again to it.
Yeah, and Peyton Thorne was comfortable all day long. Anytime he would say get hit out of bounds, run out of bounds, whatever the case may be, he had that smirk you could see
Mhm.
through his face mask the entire game. It was, it was frustrating to see, but at the same time, it's just like, how would you, I mean, you would think that your quarterback would be or would have that same demeanor if the roles were reversed. So that first drive definitely set it going down 21. I think, yeah, 21-0 was just completely not on my bingo card going into that game. It looked like you said, they left everything in Gainesville from the prior week.
Oh yeah, and the one thing, I put out a thing was that Club Dub 2.0 because and the reference was like after the Colorado State win, they got all excited and they jumped around in the locker room on the road and then lay an egg. The same thing happened. They rushed for 354 yards on us. Peyton Thorne, I thought he ran for 200 yards. He only ran for 93 yards. But they averaged, other than Jeremiah Cobb, who had 3.2 yards a carry, you had Jacquez Hunter average 6.8 yards a carry. Peyton Thorne had 7.3 yards a carry on 12 carries. Damari Austin had 5.3 yards per carry on 12. I mean, they just run. That's when they demoralized you as a team. It ain't like they just went off through the air and you couldn't guard anybody. I mean, Peyton Thorne was only 12 for 20 for 163 yards, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. And then he had that touchdown run. But I mean, it was just like everything. I don't know. That was one of the most disappointing games. I was so hyped. I picked them to win. I picked Arkansas to rout them. I thought it was, you put the opposite score on the other team. That's what I had, 48-24, I believe, but it was 48-10. And then 7 points coming in backup time with Criswell.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's tough. Watching the game, it was just I didn't quite. We've seen mobile quarterbacks the majority of the season, so seeing Thorne just get out and run, and there not being an Arkansas defender really anywhere around him without chasing him, it was really not. I don't know if weird's the right word, but you would expect different when you yourself has a somewhat mobile quarterback.
Mhm.
There was no spy on him, there was no adjustment on him. He was just able to take off and go whenever he damn well pleased.
And then he was able to juke him out. Like it wasn't
Hmm.
like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I was at loss for words when it was 21-0. And then you thought, okay, hey, at some point in the first half, if they, when they kicked the field goal, I mean, they had drives where if they could have capitalized, they could have made it a respectful game. And it's just like they just fell flat. The
Hmm.
turnover, the pick. I was like, okay, I just got done making a bad tweet, and all of a sudden they get a pick, and I'm like, okay, they got a chance to turn it around. They can make it, 21-10, or it was 21-3 at the end of the first
Hmm.
quarter. So 28-3 or 27-3 at that half. But at one point, it could have been like 21-10. And then you're getting back in the game. But they just never capitalize. And again, it goes back to, I don't know. It's tough, guys, because I see the inevitable coming. And yes, I shouldn't have jumped the gun and said anything, but it's almost like the team knows change is coming. Something I don't know, man. You play like that at home, and some of these guys, it's their last game. They're gonna, their last season for Arkansas. It's just I'm a lost for words. We're 10 minutes into the podcast, and it's like I have nothing else left to say about this team. It's just that is how disappointed I am in this team.
Yeah, I mean, after the Nudie interception, I was like, okay, let's put something together here, and then it stalled out with a field goal, and then you're just trying to play different scenarios in your head of how to eat away at the score, but then those scenarios don't work out. Auburn drives right down and scores again. I mean, it just kept blow after blow. Because then you're even playing up, okay, like do this before the end of the half to try to score. Then you get the ball back. It was just everything that you tried to make up in your head. Just it wasn't happening. The whole team just looked off. Rocket looked off. The line looked. I just didn't see the same bit of burst that we saw against Florida and Rocket. So, and then, he went down. I think basically he was out all the second quarter. So, I mean, just all around, it was defeating, demoralizing. I just really didn't know how I didn't know how they would bounce back from it, and then they didn't.
Yeah, and then I don't know if we've even talked about the punt return. That punt return, and I swear that was the slowest punt return for a touchdown I've seen in my life. And it's like it was just so easy for them to, score. Again, it brings back those Georgia vibes of 21-0. You're already out of the game, and then you think, all right, we're gonna, and then it's just like, I don't know. I keep on saying, like, we want the team and the coaches and the players and the staff. They want us and the fans to believe in them and to back them, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna turn things around. I still believe in these players. It's like, how much more of this shit we gotta, believe in and turn around before you're like, we want change. We want somebody, and this is not going on the radio. I'm not going to put this on the radio because I know between now and the end of the show we're going to have some vulgarities, but it's just like I'm tired for the fans of getting let down every time they want them to believe in them. They get shit on, and it's almost like enough is enough. That's why I'm saying there needs to be change, because when you got a coach after the game, there's no emotion, there's no madness, there's no, you want somebody to bang on the table and be like, I want this to get fixed. There's some account, but it's all monotone. There's no emotion, and I don't know what the final word is about the whole Polar Express. I don't care if that was in the damn warm-up locker room or the walk-ons locker room. It sets a bad image on what you're doing. You should be having game film up. All right, y'all the walk-ons, this is what we're doing. Look at the people above you, and this is what you need to be working on. Why are we playing Polar Express at halftime? No matter what it is, that's still a bad look. And it's just everything's so frustrating with this. And, it I'm just looking at these drive charts and I'm seeing a minute, a minute, a minute and a half, a minute, 20 seconds. It's like they couldn't even hardly put a sustainable drive together until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, most of the season, we've been pretty dead even on time of possession. Might go a minute either way, but there's a 17-minute time of possession difference in this game, which, so you just looked at a quarter plus that they had the ball more. And then, back to what went on at halftime. I mean, yes, it was a freshman or red shirt locker room. Should it have happened? No, absolutely not. You've heard that there's no coaches in there or whatever. Well, there should be. My next question is why are we still separating locker rooms? I mean, have all those guys front and center to feel like they're a part of the team. I don't know if it was like this under previous regimes that the guys were separated, but I know that was a big thing that was talked about with Chad Morris, was the separation of locker rooms between red shirts and the rest of the team. And, I was kind of baffled by it because I'm like, we're still doing this. I mean, separating the guy, I think it's a bad look. Obviously, people are just going to see that and automatically assume based on the headline or the tweet or the post that, they just thought it was the first team in there watching Polar Express when it wasn't. I mean, but people aren't going to look at
people saying it was during the Texas A&M. I mean, like I said, you get things that I don't care what game it was. I mean,
it shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Exactly. But that just goes back to accountability. And, the biggest thing is, you give Kenny Guyton the OC. You get people to believe that he's the answer. You get people to believe in him and jump on that train and give him the keys. And I'm not saying this because I'm saying I was right about it. I was hesitant because, again, I want to see somebody play how they game plan against him. What happens when he's got the sticks, when somebody knows what he's going to be doing? And we've seen what happened. I mean, you 3 points through 3 quarters, but you're dealing with a guy in Hugh Freeze who knows this team. He come in here and almost waxed you with Liberty. And I should have known better. That was on me to sit there and say that Arkansas was going to put up 48 points on them, But it's the fact that if you want to be taken seriously, and for the people that are putting Arkansas above Mississippi State, I don't even know if they're better than Vanderbilt right now. Vanderbilt would come into Fayetteville and give them a game. It'd be a toss-up. And that's being the dead honest truth, no trolling, because I think at least Vanderbilt would come in here and fight. Arkansas has no fight anymore. They don't have, like what we were talking about last week. I thought because there's still a bowl game to it, there's still a goal, they would have something to fight for and we'd have a better performance, but that's all out the window now.
Yeah, I look at going into this FIU game. First, I saw, I think the line on it was like Arkansas by 24. And that, I mean, I'm just like, why? How could you? I know FIU is considered, a lesser opponent or whatever, but I'm just looking at that like, how could you even do that? How could you openly and honestly go out there and think that, we're going to win by 24? Because, I mean, just go back to the Kent State game. And now we can look back and say, was Kent State a sign of, we asked that question if Kent State game would be a sign of things to come. And here we are. But, that Florida International game, I'd be looking at it. You're not eligible for a bowl game now. Why shouldn't Criswell start? I mean, I know that some will say and think that, it's KJ's team or don't let it go out that way, whatever. But, I'm just kind of like, do something to have some sort of spark.
Yeah. And they've changed everything else. Why not? I mean, if this is going to be, and that's the thing, we need to think, if we talked about it, or I talked about a week ago or 2 weeks ago about what if KJ, that was last week, what if KJ and Rocket both come back, because they want to redo. That'd be the only reason I'd be like, all right, we're going to give you the ball. You're going to be the signal caller still, because if he's thinking about still coming back, maybe leading this team, I don't know because we don't know what's going to happen with the team between now and Saturday. But I would see why not. If he's going to be the leader of your team moving forward and you're looking at this program, why not give him the ball? Why not give Criswell the ball and tell him, all right, we're look, there's no bowl game. We're just going to work on now. Again, just a thought coming in my head. Would you give him the ball hoping he's the future with this O-line?
That's
question. I mean,
yeah, that's a tough question, just because, it's, you don't know what would happen with this with the O-line. Is somebody going to end up getting hurt, or do you go ahead and start your younger guys and move out of the way? The older guys there, it's just, there's a ton of questions. I mean, I would like to see, especially at the tight end position, because we've had the injury bug, but why not play, I don't know what's going on with Shamar Easter and a few of the, these younger guys. Just go ahead and put them in and see what they can do.
Yeah. And to that point, the comment, Guyton went backwards. It was like, I was tired of zone read, pass, punt. Zone read. I mean, I was writing it down. Zone read, pass, punt. It was so predictable. And if you're running that type of offense, and half the time you're handing it off, there was no really there. I mean, it's just the fact when you look at the individual. I'm looking at KJ read the ball 15 times for 70 yards. And then AJ Green went 2 for 3 yards, 1 for 3 yards, 8 for 11 yards. Criswell had 73 yards rushing, but again, I'm not going to count those yards because it was in the fourth quarter. I'm looking at game time. So you take 73 minus 160, and that's the total kind of, I would say, total yards you had in this game. I mean, you had less total yards for the whole game than you did rushing last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm. Then we had one sack in the game, I think.
Yeah.
Jeffcoat got one sack, and I think there was one tackle for loss the entire game for Arkansas's defense.
Yeah. Rocket Sanders had 8 carries for 11 yards and had 11 yards on losses. So he had zero net.
He netted 0 yards.
0 yards. Yeah. So I'm looking at 0, 3, 3, 50. So if you take away Jacoby's 64 yards, again, I'm not going to count them because they're in the fourth quarter. They had 56 yards.
56 yards. Yep.
Incredible. And then KJ only had 116 yards passing. So if you had 166 yards total offense, I mean, that is abysmal. In a game that you were supposed to be fighting for, that you're still trying to prove to go to a bowl game. You still had a goal. You still have a fight. It's flat out embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the fans. It's embarrassing to the players that care. It's embarrassing to the parents that go to their games and support the kids that care. But this outing, I don't know, it's staff. It's when you lose a locker room, when you lose, you see the hoorahs after the Florida game, and then you see this. It's like, were we duped? Was this all a show? Like it's I don't know. I don't know where the program goes from here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, after the break, we'll go back to, we'll go to the future and we'll look and see who would you want, who do you think could come in and turn this thing around. But Adam, I would even say that at this point in time, I don't care where he got us as a program. I'm looking at right now. It's just going to be just as bad as program that Chad Morris left us in.
Yeah, it was really weird to hear. Like, I guess I had higher hopes, obviously, after the Florida win. I'd started hearing Wednesday or Thursday that they were giving students free tickets. Like, if you had a student ticket, they were giving you another one to bring somebody with you. And I was thinking, okay, if we're doing that, then ticket sales, obviously weren't that great. So we're going to try to fill the stadium however we can. But, then you just saw because I think they said there was 72,000, which I'm like, well, how many of those were free tickets?
Well, you got to also, in fact, I know how that stuff goes. They count the season ticket holders as is. That's so say they have, I don't know how many season tickets they give out. Well, I want to say 45,000 per se.
It's around that, yeah.
You automatically have 50,000 there every game, no matter what.
I'd be skeptical next week or this week now. If
I'm going, so if anybody's got a parking pass, hook me up. I mean,
I would be surprised if there was actually 45,000 people in there Saturday night.
It's going to be a Western Kentucky type deal, I think. Not the outcome. I mean, I think we still have a chance to win it, but I'm talking about attendance-wise. But I want to get to this real quick. Larry says, I wouldn't put the loss totally on Guyton. The running back and quarterback were getting hit at the handles. Okay. To a point, you might be correct. But if you're playing the same call, you're not mixing things up and you're doing zone reads and you're predictable, you got two guys to read. You got a quarterback and a running back. If you got the pressure and you got this crappy O-line and you can get through it, you're hitting them both at the same time. So I get where you're saying on it, but yet you got to mix things up. You got to swing things to the outside. You got to pass downfield and again, mix things up, because if you come too predictable, it's going to look like it's their fault, but you still got to call different. But we're going to head to a break right quick. After the break, we'll wrap up the talk about the Auburn debacle, and then we'll move on to the rest of the season and then touch on a little bit of basketball before we wrap up. But we'll catch you after the break. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need, whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck. Plus, our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Metters Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you in need of legal representation? Look no further than the law offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson. As the oldest law firm in the River Valley, we have been serving our clients for over 100 years, with locations in Ozark, Fort Smith, and Spring. Our experienced team of attorneys provide expert guidance and advocacy in a wide range of legal areas, including personal injury, family law, criminal defense, and more. Trust in our history and experience to get the results you deserve. Contact the law office of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson today at 479-782-8813. That's 479-782-8813. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors from there. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. And want to welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast, and we continue our conversation about the football program. And Adam, if you could pick one coach that you think could come in and turn around this program or get them, who would you pick? All right, there we go. Jamie Chadwell,
Kenny Kine,
EJ Kine, Mike Elko, and Jesse Minter. All right, where are those guys? I know one's Texas State.
Well, Jamie Chadwell is Liberty's current coach. Before Liberty, because he's only been there for one season. Before Liberty, he turned around Coastal Carolina. He took them from 2 and 3 wins his first 2 years to I think 5. He got up to 11 wins by year 4, I think year 3 maybe. And then he had 9 wins his last season before going over to Liberty. GJ is at Texas State.
Yeah.
And then, which he doesn't have a whole lot in the head coaching realm. So that one would be one that I think would be kind of a question. Mike Elko, obviously at Duke, turned them around. I'm not saying that that's, I hate using the word realistic. I'm just thinking of coaches right now that are on the up and up that aren't going to, if Arkansas is not going to go pay $7 to $9+ million a year. And then Jesse Minter is Michigan's defensive coordinator, who is actually from Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'm not, that one's just kind of a stretch. But you know, it's something different that you're not seeing everybody talk about.
And man, it's tough because it's like, to me, it's like, do you try to go get one of these up and comers that you don't know that has the big time experience? I think, and just me, I would. It's like look at Prime per se. I mean, he goes on a 3-game winning streak, and everybody's all about him. And then look what happens now. Okay, a month ago he was the hot thing. You know, he was the hot item. These guys, and I'm not saying that some of these guys couldn't come in here like from Texas State or Liberty and win, but I just think this is a big boy's job.
Yeah.
To get the program to where it needs to go, what I'm saying.
Well, and even putting GJ is, after thinking about it, it's kind of hard for me because I've been very adamant on do not bring in a former coach. So the people that are on the Gus Malzahn train, I've seen Jeff Traylor a lot today. I've seen Barry Linney Jr. a lot. Like, let's stop going back after coaches that have been here. GJ was actually an analyst under Chad Morris in 2018 at Arkansas. He was under Morris at SMU, came here, went on to the Philadelphia Eagles for a year, then Hawaii, and then he was offensive coordinator at UCF before becoming the head coach at Texas State. So I just, but is what it is. I'm trying to stay out of the realm and the talk of the former coaches because we've seen where that's gotten us.
I've thrown out a name, and I don't know if the guy would be interested in coaching. He's on the SEC network right now. I'd make a call. I would make a call to Dan Mullen because he won. Yes, and we all know it takes a quarterback to win in this league. He won with Dak Prescott. We know, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to recruit. He knows how to win on this level. He took a program like Mississippi State and took them to a number one ranking at some point in that season. They were ranked number one, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, he knows how to win. He's very offensive oriented guy. Now, I know there's some questions about him, but I'm sorry. When we're at the point, this is a business. This is, it's one of them things. I think he could win here. But I think the fact that he could at least get this program to that next level it's almost like if this don't work out with Sam, we're almost going to be at a clean slate. You're going to be rebuilding. Mm-hmm. So we need another guy to come in and who can build this foundation back up, who can bring in a staff that can bring in some up and coming guys that could take over and be, promoted to a head coaching job. I would love for a guy to come in that doesn't have big boy experience in the SEC because we all know this is a tough job. Especially it's tough to win. It's tough to recruit in this state. So it's going to have to take somebody who can recruit on a high level, play on a high level, and win on a high level.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I hope one of them guys could do it. I mean, I would love to get because again, our luck, the guy from Texas State goes somewhere, but we also got to look. And this is kind of why the pressure may be mounting. There's another opening already in the SEC. We don't know what other openings Power 5 are coming open. Jimbo Fisher's gone. So I know that's a different category, a different level of the SEC, but it's still somebody who could have been perhaps persuaded to come to Arkansas.
Yeah, this morning, whenever the Jimbo news first came out, I was like, great. Here we go. Because when Arkansas is to do something, now we're competing with the likes of who are they going to be interviewing? Who are they going to be going after? We're in a big level right now because I saw earlier that they've already had one player that's said he's going to enter the portal after the Jimbo news came out. So, you expect a mass exodus to happen unless they make a splash hire. So I think the biggest thing that I was surprised out of the Jimbo thing was to see that Bobby Petrino would not be the interim coach for them. That's kind of what I expected to see, and then it didn't happen. And maybe that's just to keep away from some of the talk that would come with Bobby Petrino having the reins.
I think that was a pick your poison kind of deal. Look, Jimbo Fisher was already on the hot seat. I mean, listen, he got fired after winning 51-10. If that doesn't tell you the importance of winning at Texas A&M, how serious they take their program, and two, how much money they have, because they're willing to give this guy $76 million to go peace out. Meanwhile, we have a coach that's sitting here at 2, 3-7, 3-8 right now. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what their daggum record is right now. It's just because that's how frustrating. I think they're 3-7.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a guy here that's just 1-3. You get blown out by Auburn, and it's like, well, we don't know. We're still going to go along with her. He's still going to eat at the catfish hole one more time. I mean, it's like, we're going to let this man have a last meal at the Catfish Hole before we send him off. It's like,
It's
you
tough
know,
as, talking about it or being fans. I mean, like I'm at the point where it's even if or when we part ways, we're in the coaching search, we hire another coach, it's just hard to get excited about it because you're just so beaten down. I mean,
yeah,
even as the season went on, I've said a few times to some friends that I don't know if I could predict a winning season for Arkansas until they actually put together 2 or 3 winning seasons, because we all make our preseason predictions. And I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of done um, with with all the drinking the Kool-Aid, if you will.
yeah. And there was, when it comes to the talk about Dan Mullen, I mean, he in the East, he went 10-3, 11-2, 8-4, and went 5-6, and they booted him. So I mean, you went from being second in the East, winning the East in 2020, which I mean, of course, that was COVID year. You had a 34-15 record at Florida. And people are saying, but what did he do at Florida? I mean, he was 69-46 at Mississippi State. And the year he left Mississippi State, he was 8-4. And again, I just want to show his track record. At Mississippi State, he was 5-7, they went 9-4. Had a setback 7-6, and he went to 8-5. He had a drop down to 7-6, but the next year he went 10-3. He went 9-4 in 15, 6-7 in 16, and then went back up to 8-4. So he's never had like this string of losses that we have seen. That is the reason why he knows how to bounce back. He knows how to, okay, we had a down year. We know how to bounce back. I don't even, like, again, I might be way off, but that's just a name that I think when it comes to the tenure, he's coached in the East and he's coached in the West.
Yeah, there's a lot of far-fetched names I think that are. I mean, I just don't see. Um, I've seen Cliff Kingsbury a few times. I don't see that happening. I
No.
mean, he'd go to A&M before he'd come here.
That's like
Um,
people saying Tom Herman. Like the dude
mhm,
could, I mean, no. I mean, he lost me when he done that whole shenanigans to the Missouri quarterback
mhm,
when Drew Lock. He
mhm.
was antagonizing the Texas bench, and then he comes back after the game and he's doing this with his hand. Like, come on now. You're at Texas. You're the leader of the team. Let your teammates or let your players mock him and talk trash back and forth. But when you lower yourself to a player's standards, you're the coach. You're supposed to be the professional, and you're acting like that. And then along with how many times has Texas been back and not been back? I just don't think he could win here at Arkansas. I don't think he would be a good coach.
Yeah, and it's hard to sit here and like talk, I guess, down on some of the names that are being thrown out. Because like you just brought up with Mullen and what he did, with Florida, what he did at Mississippi State. It's kind of like, well, in both cases, they were still in better situations than Arkansas was.
Yeah.
So we're going to down talk all these coaches that had better teams than Arkansas had.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like we got to look at where we're at now, where we've been at, and you know, I get swinging for the fences, but if Arkansas is not going to pay $8-9 million a year to do so, I think you've got to find that up and comer because that's what $8-9 million it's going to cost to get
Mhm.
some of these names that have been proven elsewhere.
Yeah, if you're going to get a guy, and that's another thing, how much money does Arkansas have? Because if you're going to get a guy that, all right, look, man, if I'm going to come in and clean up this mess, it's going to cost you 7 mil base starting off. Because I know, look, under your check, how he does his contracts is smart. He's going to do it on a base salary, and it's like base and commission.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm going to give you base, and then win. Um, the fact that we're looking at this mess, we're looking at the University of the football program, and the coach is looking at this house and how much restoration needs to be done. Man, this is going to be a tough job. It's going to cost this because it's going to take 2 to 3 years to build this program where we're at, and then get my guys in here, my cleaning crew per se, and turn this thing around. It's going to be a tough job. That's what I'm saying. I think the further they let this thing ride out, they need to have somebody on the ground doing damage control of if they're going to, they need to be in the recruits' homes. You can't let this thing ride out till Christmas.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, you want to keep obviously as many recruits as you can, and I feel like the longer it grinds out, the worse off we're going to be. I think we saw that before with, I mean, with Pittman. I know there was all the talk and or all the interviews that happened, and however those negotiations went, but Pittman was a guy that wanted to be here. There were some other coaches that I think used us, and which has been done in the past, used us is to get money or more money elsewhere. So we're in a, I don't think, obviously, we're not in a Chad Morris type, back to back 2-win seasons. I don't think we're quite that far, but at the same time, it's pretty close. You're going to have a coach that's understands that, there's basically a complete real rebuild that needs to happen.
Yeah. And again, there's a name out here, the Washington head coach. His name's been thrown out there. What he's doing with the quarterback there, Penix.
Penix, yeah.
Going out there in the Pac-12. Look, Pac-12 is pretty good this year. It's not no cupcake conference, and you're first in the Pac-12 right now. You're sitting undefeated at 10-0. You never know, because I get lost in the transition of what teams are going where. But is Washington going to the Big Ten, or are they staying in the Pac-12? Do you know what the status is?
They're leaving. I just forget. Okay. I think, yeah, because I think the only schools that were left were like Washington State and Stanford.
Okay. Because I was thinking, and I think we talked about this before about, the persuasion of you're going to be stuck behind in the Pac-12, or even if you're going to the Big 12.
Yeah, Washington and Oregon are going to the Big 12.
Okay, so now that makes it seem a little bit better than what if you're going to the Big 10 and playing with the big boys. You're playing.
Yeah, I think it was USC and UCLA are going to the Big 10 because there was all the talk that they're going to have to fly all the way to Rutgers for games.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think that Washington State and Stanford are the odd schools out, which we'll see what happens with the Mountain West and them. But the Big 12 and the Big 10 are completely different landscapes.
I think Hunter Yurchek's already got this thing on his mind because he knows the importance of this next hire. He knows for a fact that he's got to get this next one right. You have to. It's very imperative, because I'm telling you, if you don't, you're already where you are. You're going to be staying in the basement. You're worried about losing recruits. You got to get them. I mean, you're going to have to get them. I mean, I think they ranked 13th in the SEC. That post you put out of, where they're ranking in the SEC, the 13th in the SEC in recruiting right now. And that's
in the past decade. Yeah.
Past decade. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see moving forward how this goes. He's doing his availability as normal. So, we'll just stay tuned, and see what becomes of this story. And we'll keep following it closely, and we'll be sure to make sure that we get it verified and with the right people before we post anything. So the next time you see something from us when it comes to the status of Sam Pittman, it's going to be a retweet from somebody else that is a credible source. But what we're going to do, we're going to wrap up the show on a different note. We're going to every week we're going to give you a lineup of all the events coming up when it comes to the University of Arkansas. Men's basketball plays Old Dominion tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And what these are, they're game times and where you can see these if they're being televised. So women's basketball plays Little Rock. Tennis is in the Pitt 25K in Fort Worth Monday, Tuesday,
all week.
All week.
Yeah.
So you have women's basketball against Little Rock. Volleyball plays at Ole Miss on Wednesday. Swim dive team is at Tennessee Wednesday and Thursday. Friday looks like a busy day. You have soccer in the NCAA tournament second round against Pitt, which they will be hosting the second and third rounds like they did last year. So not only will you be able to see the Pitt game against Arkansas, they will have the other teams in the second and third round format there at Fayetteville at Razorback Field. Men's basketball plays at home against UNC Greensboro, and then women's basketball is at Jonesboro. They play Arkansas State. So that's a roundup of all the things that are going on in every sport. We will have this posted up on our Facebook and Twitter pages that you can screenshot. And again, what I would do, screenshot it. That way, every week you know what time the game's on. These are all central times. And of course, what program. If there's no SEC or anything beside the name, it's not televised. But the ones that are televised, they're on there. So, Adam, anything you want to wrap up with before we signal out?
I mean, I know that Friday night will be a big night. You're going to have to make a choice if you want to go to the men's basketball game or the soccer game. But I urge anybody that does not have basketball tickets to the Friday night game to go out to the soccer field because, give them some high numbers in attendance while they're in the NCAA tournament. Give them the most home field advantage that they can get.
Exactly. I think you should. I want the field to be full, and then I want to see, like softball, they got the berm. I want people to be camped out and get the blankets up on the berm right there at Fayetteville High School. Get as many people watch the game as possible because what Colby Hill and that team's done. Scoreless in the first half, and then you score 5 goals in the second half. Bellafield had a hat trick, and I want to say that it was the most goals ever scored in a half in an NCAA tournament game. So hats off to Bella and the team. Again, this is a march to a national championship, to the, what they call their Final Four, in Cary, North Carolina. So we want to see this team go far. Again, volleyball team still on a roll. They're going to be at Ole Miss, what Coach Watson's done with that team. So all the events you can watch on TV or go see in person. But again, for Porter Hayes, Adam Hall, we're brought to you by the Believe Network and Bet Online. We will catch you on Wednesday night. We're going to bring you another episode of the Weekly Women's Sports Report, recapping all things women's sports. We'll talk to you then.